Welcome to the 92nd episode of the MC Knitting Adventures podcast. My name's Colleen.
And my name is May. Welcome, returning viewers, and for those of you watching us for the first time, we're so glad you can join us. Now, on today's adventure, we went to Barrie, Ontario. We're going to be talking about the KOA camp. We're going to be talking about that we stayed in. We're going to be talking about the yarn store. We visited a dollhouse. Lots to talk about on our adventure today. But before we begin, Colleen's going to talk about what we're wearing.
May is wearing the Koi Goose scarf, and that's by May Landra. And it's copyright of the Koigu Wool Designs. I looked on Ravelry, and there is a way to get this, but there's a little booklet that you have to purchase. So lovely scarf. It does tie in the back. You can overlap it and sew it if you'd like. I think it looks great.
I was going to mention that it's tied at the back, but I kept it tied so I can just slip it on.
Oh, so you're so
I'm
smart.
not even tying it on all the time.
Exactly, because we know you
That's
don't
just
like
a
the
trick.
little things. That's right. So the yarn is called I Love This Cotton, and we got this at Hobby Lobby in the States. We haven't been to the States in a long, long time, but that's
So
where
I don't
we
even
got
know how
that.
you remember that because we haven't been in the States since before COVID.
Exactly.
So that's a long time for you to remember. Good remembering.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
It's nice at our age that we remember anything.
Exactly. We do enjoy that.
Yes.
Oh, so that's what May's wearing, and I am wearing the Easy Eyelet Yoke Light Sweater, and that's by Knititude and Chantel Miyagishima.
That's a mouthful, isn't it?
It is a mouthful. But sweater is lovely and easy to do. Now, when we started doing this, I would have patterns here and ball bands would go in a special spot. And then I would never find the ball band when I needed to put it on the podcast. So what I've started doing is tucking them in the sleeve that I put the pattern in. So as soon as I know I'm going to show that pattern, the ball band's right there. It works really
Keeps you
well.
more organized.
Exactly. So you're going to see a picture of the yarn that I used. It's Juniper Moon Farm Neve, I think.
Because you couldn't find the ball band?
Couldn't find the ball band, but I could find a picture. So there it is.
Out of all these ball bands, though, you do really well, like considering what you've got and what you've put on the podcast, and you're really good about putting up the show notes and the ball bands. I'm sure the knitters out there really appreciate that.
Well, thank you for saying so.
Yeah, so I do appreciate it, and I'm not a knitter.
Yeah. So this is a
And that's
cotton.
my favorite. Sorry to interrupt you,
sorry.
but I love that color. It's my favorite.
Well, it is your favorite, but it's my sweater. So anyway, lovely and comfortable. So I think it would be, if you like, it would be okay to wear in the summer, kind of nice for the fall as well. But I really like it. I might, if I was doing it again, make it a bit smaller. So this is cotton. Might try to shrink it a bit. Not sure that's a smart idea, but just to have it be a little bit less positive.
So you could put it in a dryer. It could be for one of the dolls. That you
It might. That's the only problem. It's okay now. It's comfy. There's lots of positive ease. I don't want there to be no positive ease or the fact that it's too short. But we'll figure something out. But anyway, I do like it.
I do like it too, but you're right.
Thank you so
Maybe
much.
a size smaller or something like that. Or a
Right.
dryer.
And I think that's the thing, when you're making a shawl, it's like, okay, whatever
Yeah.
happens. When you're making clothing, it's like, ooh.
Do you have to keep measuring once you start knitting, you're kind of committed to that? You can't measure, how with a seamstress you measure through and you make adjustments throughout. So when you're
Right.
knitting, you kind of have to, am I wrong in this?
No, you're not wrong.
You have to commit. Like if you make it a size 36.
Right. It depends on whether it's a top down or a bottom up. Top down, you can kind of get it to the point where you split for the sleeves, and then you can try it on and see if it fits.
And then you can make it to your body type.
Right. Exactly. So, yes. And so you can also adjust length. I am very short-waisted, but I have a long torso. Doesn't make any sense. So I'm not your typical, just do it what the pattern says. There's a lot of adjusting going on.
Oh, sounds complicated.
We've talked about this.
No wonder you have so many scarves.
Exactly.
Shawls.
Exactly. So I'm 2 inches shorter than May, but you need petite pants, and they're too short for me.
Right. Yeah, I just can't figure it all out.
I can't
And
either.
same when we go in the car. I go into, after you've driven the car, I go into the car and I'm like all scrunched up like this, and my legs are like scrunched up. And I think, how can that be? Colleen's so much longer than I am, but apparently not.
I know. I don't know.
I don't
I've got
know.
to adjust the car too. Oh dear, oh dear. So anyway, that's what we're wearing, and next we're going to talk about finished objects. My first finished object is one of the knit car seat blankies, and that's by Mary Maxim. So I did the
Sorry.
That's okay. So I did the blue one, which is a basket weave, except we've talked about this. I used the Hudson Bay colors.
Oh, this is, I know this is not a secret. This is so my favorite. For a
Love
baby
it.
gift?
I'm really happy with it. I used the Barocco Comfort. So it's acrylic and nylon, 50-50. And it is beautiful yarn to work with, and it's so soft. Oh my gosh. I debated. I said to May, do you think we should make a big one for the back of the couch? We could do that.
Yeah,
so
it's really nice. I love the colors. I love the Hudson Bay. Again, these are not copyrighted or anything.
No,
These
not at all.
colors. And this is just beautiful, isn't it?
I'm really, really
I
excited.
just love it.
So.
And you know what? This is without a doubt my favorite because, and you know why I've said this before in my podcast, when you have baby things and you have baby outfits, unless the baby's that size and it's that time of year,
Right.
they're not going to fit. Like,
No.
and if they are, it's only for a short period because, as you know,
Exactly.
Babies grow very quickly.
Exactly.
This they could have in for like, you know, for at least a year or two.
Right, absolutely.
In their little baby seat, and they can use it for the next generation kids. So
Right.
that's kind of cool.
I really
like
do
it.
like
I love it.
Yeah, I'm happy how it turned out.
Yeah, I
so.
want one for me.
Oh, I know. Well, okay.
No more cows, no more socks. I want one of these for
Oh,
me.
hey, I can do that.
Yeah.
They have what's called a lap blanket. I could make you one.
That'd be great.
Exactly. I think we'd be fighting on it on the couch. But anyway, so that's that. So that's my first one. My second finished object is actually something that I made for May. And I use South Beach Yarn Company. And it is their 20% superfine alpaca, 60% superwash merino, and 20% nylon. So it's so nice. And it's going to be really nice and warm. So these are the No Fear Shorty Socks by Denise DeSantis. And I've only got one on a blocker but the other one's done.
Nice.
And it's so
I love
soft.
these. I love these. I appreciate these so much. And they just look like the lake.
Exactly. So the colorway is called Majestic Lake Huron. So I knew I had to get that for me because she loves them.
Love it.
So anyway, I have a feeling that in the winter when you do like to wear shorty socks more than long socks. So I kind of have decided that's what May's going to get from now on. And I think these are brilliant.
Yeah. Those are
I'm
great.
really, really happy.
Thank
so
you.
she has had them on, but I didn't let her wear them for very, very long. So I'm really, really pleased with that one as well.
Maybe the weather will be next podcast. I get to wear them.
Oh, lovely.
Well, I hope it doesn't get that cool yet.
I know.
It's not there yet. We're not there yet.
If we go camping, you might want to wear them.
Yeah.
Keep your little feet warm with the alpacas.
No fire though. I don't want to wear them.
Oh, not near the fire. That's true. All right. So my third work in progress, my third finished object is another pair of socks. And once again, one blocker here, other sock is there. And this is one of those birthday pair of socks for somebody who
those
shall
are
not
nice.
be named.
I love this fluorescent green in there.
Exactly. So
Gives a
these
little bit
are
of a
called
pop.
Premier Yarns Wool-Free Brights. And it is in fact that. And I actually have some of that, but it is orange here, and I think I'm going to make some Halloween socks.
Well, that would be cool. And you know what else is? This would make a nice hat. Can you make a hat out of this?
Absolutely.
That would make a really nice hat.
Oh,
You could have socks and a hat that match.
there you go.
Really nice.
So I did a mashup of two patterns. I used Katie Lou's sock pattern,
Which is one of your favorites.
one of my favorites. I like that one. And then because this only has a 72 stitch sock in it, I needed to drop it to 64 inch, and then I had to do some things with it. And then I did the toe from the Shell Cove Socks by K.F. Jones. So this pattern is by Katie Lou Green. I love that pattern. And this one is by K.F. Jones with the Bakery Bears.
Now these are both size 8s, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Those
Yeah.
are really nice.
So it was very interesting because there was a pair of shoes at the door. And I said, May, do you know what size that shoes are? She said, I bet you it's a size 8. I said, but are you sure it's a size 8? And she said, pretty sure. So anyway, we did do our little sleuthing.
We did our research.
We did do our research, and guess what we found out? It was a size 8. So May can identify size 8.
Yeah, because it takes one to know one.
Yes, it does. It does for sure. Alrighty, my last finished object is called the Linen Stitch Fade Bag.
This turned out quite nice.
And that's by Estelle Yarns.
Who knew you could knit a bag?
No. And I used the Estelle Color Braid, which is lovely to work with. It is a little tricky because from start to finish, it's all connected, the yarn. And it ends up being 5 or 6 different colors. And so the trick is, as you're unwinding it, to hold the other loop, because it's kind of a loop and a loop and a loop and a loop. It's not an issue, it's just knowing that you have to be careful as you unwind it.
That's the yarn that you showed on the last podcast that was all those layered.
That's the stuff, absolutely.
You were kind of surprised that you thought they were all separate, but it's all one piece.
It's all one joint. So there is that piece that holds it together. So here is the bag.
I love it. It's so cute. I thought it was black and white like the pattern, but this is blue.
It is blue, and the lights help show that. Now, here's what's inside.
Oh, money. No $20.
No $20. So here is what it is. So I have this much left. So I'm debating whether or not to put like a flap over with a button. Okay, just because that would then hold the top.
Right.
And not entirely closed, and it wouldn't fall out the same.
I love this. It turned out kind of
So anyway, if you have an opinion, just comment down below. Let me know. Do you think there should be a flap? Do you think no flap's just fine? But it is a lovely market bag, and it was fun to do. I've never done something like that.
Now, would you use this for knitting or just for like a purse almost?
I think I could do either.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I think I need to do something to close the top, but if you've got any ideas, that would be great. But I think I could make a wide flap. I don't know. Ideas. Anything, comment down below. That would be great.
Very good. Nice job on that.
I'm really, really happy how it came out.
Yeah.
So those are my finished objects. And May, finished objects for you.
Yes, I have been busy. Last time I talked about my little vegetable cart, my miniature vegetable cart. And I talked about wheels for the cart. I don't know if you remember that conversation.
I do, very well.
I can barely remember our last podcast, but
I do apologize. It's my fault. It's taken some time. I was busy back to work for a couple of weeks, so.
Yes, so we haven't been here, so we're glad that we're back.
Exactly.
And it's nice to see you all again.
Yes.
Now, the first thing I thought of, you got some of this wood, these spindles off online on Amazon.
On Amazon, yes.
Now, when they came, you can't really feel, it's kind of like yarn. You can't really feel
No.
the goodness of that wood or whatever until it came. Now, the wood was kind of chintzy.
Okay.
Is that a word? Chintzy?
Chintzy's a word if you're this old.
Can you have chintzy yarn?
Yes.
Well, you can certainly have chintzy wood. I've realized that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you know what I mean when I'm saying chintzy. So what I did
What do you mean when you're saying chintzy? Just to translate.
Chintzy is kind of cheaper quality.
There you go.
I would say. Yeah.
Exactly.
Not a very good quality.
So you can talk about a person being chintzy, which means they're a little cheap. But you can talk about something being chintzy and then it's a cheaper quality.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
That's good. I'm glad you explained that
Oh,
because
good.
maybe some people don't know that.
There you go.
Now, so what I did was, because I tried on the scroll saw to cut out
Right.
when it was just singular and it just was breaking up. The wood was just
Oh.
chipping and breaking up, as you can see
Okay.
from there. So then what I decided to do was to take 2 pieces of the chintzy wood,
Right.
glue them together to
Right.
make it a little bit more
Oh, that was really
substantial.
smart. Yeah, very smart.
It still broke up somewhat. It wouldn't be what I would buy again because I've got to
Right.
use up what I have. I like to use up rather
Right, exactly.
than saying that,
Right,
we bought
absolutely.
these things, now I got to throw that out. So I like to use it up. So that was my first challenge, was getting
Okay.
some there. So then what I did was I had some wood filler because it still chipped a little bit.
Oh, it did chip a
so
little
I just
bit.
put a little bit of wood filler in there and you
Okay.
can't really tell because I'm going to paint them anyway.
Oh, okay, that's good.
So that's what I did there. Then the last wheel I did, put it into 8 pieces, which was a piece of cake, a piece of pie, really.
Really a piece of pie.
8 pieces, not a problem. But I didn't want to keep cutting 8 pieces in the scroll saw
That's a
because
lot to
that
do.
would take forever. So what I wanted to make it into 6 pieces. And cutting a pie into 6 pieces, if you've ever tried that,
It's
it is
not
really
easy.
not that easy. Who
That's
knew
right.
that was a hard thing to do? You did.
I did, because I'm a math teacher and I knew exactly how hard it was to draw.
And you did mention that. You said it's a lot more difficult. I thought, 6 pieces, piece of cake, piece of pie. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Everything it was all off and everything else. So what I ended up doing, Colleen, is I went on the computer and I got an image
Oh,
of
perfect.
a 6-piece wheel.
Right.
And I cut it down
excellent.
to size of the size that I wanted, so it would
Right.
fit correctly on this
Excellent.
disc here,
Right.
like that. And then I traced it out,
Oh, excellent.
and so that gave me 6 even
Oh,
pieces.
smart.
So I was able to make those wheels. So making these wheels was a challenge, but it ended up being okay for my little cart.
Right.
So then I had some scrap wood, and then I
Okay.
had to decide how thick am I going to, how long, how wide, that these are going to look like
Exactly. That's right.
they'll fit. Because I don't have a pattern for this, it was in my head.
She's a good designer, this one.
And then, I had this wood here. I went into the garage and I had like lengths and lengths and lengths of this.
Oh, wow.
So I thought,
Okay.
I'll just use this, and that'll be the width of my cart, and that should work.
Right.
And then I had to come up with, and then that way there's not as much cutting and all
Right.
that kind of
Absolutely.
thing.
This
So
is
that's how-
May's version of stash.
That's how I decided the
Right.
width of the cart and everything
Perfect.
else. And that's why it's hard to talk about how to make these things, because how many people have that kind of wood in the garage, like that particular
That's
size?
a good question.
Because if you change the width of the wood and you change the length and the,
Right. Right,
then you change the
absolutely.
design.
Yes,
Then
you do.
can't really,
That's right.
So it's not as easy as like picking up some yarn, I don't think. Maybe not.
Well,
Maybe.
you know what? There isn't this. As far as yarn goes, you can make substitutions, but you have to make sure it's the right
Same idea.
weight, right consistency. It depends on how you want whatever it is to drape. So yes,
But it's a
isn't.
little bit more complicated when you want to change up a pattern, right? Using
Exactly.
different materials.
Yes,
I guess it's
absolutely.
the
I
same
agree with
idea,
you.
right?
Yeah.
So then I designed this little cart,
So,
and that's how it turned out.
oh, it's great.
The wheels came out okay. Once they're painted, you can't really tell that it's chintzy wood. I made it with these things so you can actually cart it, but these don't turn or anything
Right,
like that.
right. Okay.
And then I'm in the process of making more of these. I've made probably 4 or 5 of these.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I figured
Impressive.
if you're going to make one, you might as well make 4 or
Right.
5 of them.
See what happens when I go to work? She gets market stand carts here.
And what I do, I prepare, before I paint, I put gesso. Now, gesso you use if you're doing any kind of painting on a
Right,
canvas. You put
exactly.
gesso
Yep.
on it. It just prepares the canvas for painting.
Right.
And so, but you can use gesso to prepare your wood also. So I
Really?
usually
Okay.
coat everything with a gesso.
Okay.
If you're going to paint wood, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just go over it with whatever color of paint. Here I'm just going to use white, which worked out
Right.
because my gesso is white.
Oh,
that worked out
excellent.
nice. And then now I'm in the process. Since I made 5 of these carts,
Mm-hmm.
now I want to make these little containers for my fruit
Ooh,
and
I like
vegetables.
how those work out.
And I have to make several of these for my
Right,
carts,
right.
which are tedious. They're not difficult. They're just made from popsicle sticks.
She says they're not difficult. I would find it difficult.
But I have the great machinery that able to do that and that get them square and
Oh,
everything else.
right,
So
right,
that
right.
that helps. And so that's my finished object. I'm really happy with how it turned
It's
out.
really good. You're
And-
so smart.
And I think if people are doing FEMO and want to do vegetables and they want to do fruits,
Yep.
this is a great way to do it. But if you don't have the tools
stand,
or
that's
the
right.
stand, then that way you could have your little FEMO stand too. So
And that makes sense for you when you can be out in the garage doing what you need to do, doing your woodworking and those kind of things. Then when it comes that you can't be out there because it's too cold, you can be
I can be
playing
inside.
with
That's my winter project, is to be inside and do my FEMO and filling them up with FEMO.
There she is.
So there you go. So I was really happy with how that turned out. And like I said, I've made 5 of them. Kind of a little assembly line. The wheels are a little time consuming, but we
Right.
got through it, and we're ready to go.
Perfect.
So that's what I've been up to.
And so that's our finished objects. And next we're going to talk about works in progress. Before we get started on our works in progress, May, somebody had asked about this picture behind us. So do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Well, they asked if I had taken that picture, and I did take that picture. But it was kind of a fun day. It's actually in Port Stanley. If you know Port Stanley at all, it's Lake Erie, and it's only about half an hour or 40 minutes away from us.
Right.
And it's right on the beach, and these houses are kind of you could tell it's a Port Stanley picture
Right,
if you're around
absolutely.
the area, from around the area.
Exactly.
And what I had Colleen do was I said, chase those seagulls and I'll snap the picture. And so it was early morning. There was nobody on the beach. And sure enough, all the seagulls were there like they should have been. And Colleen was chasing the seagulls, and I snapped the photo, and I had it blown up, and that's it.
There
and that
we
was
go.
probably a couple of years ago, I think we did that.
Absolutely, that's right.
So, yeah, so that's what that picture
I
is.
know.
So the person's asking, yes, it is mine, and I did take it with the camera, and I am going to get back into my photography.
Yes, absolutely.
I want to photograph all your beautiful knitting.
Oh, she's going to be busy.
Yes.
All right, so my first work in progress is called The Lounging Top, and that's by Joji Locatelli. And I'm using the Cascade Yarns Heritage Silk Peruvian Tones. And I like the silk that's in it because it makes it hang nicely. Now, let's see where we are in this. So
Are you used to knitting with silk, or is this kind of a new thing?
I have knit with yarns similar to this. So there's what I'm working on, and I just need to finish knitting the body. There's a few things about short rows that I have to do, and then you do the neckline a little bit, and then it'll be done. So
this is from top down, or
top down. So I've already tried this on. I like how it fits. It's in good shape. So that's the nice thing about top down. You can see, is it going to fit where it needs to fit?
Okay.
And I learned a lot after I'd made some sweaters where they said don't measure the chest over your fullest part of your bust. You have to measure up here.
Oh, really? Under your
Exactly.
armpit kind of thing.
Basically. Exactly. And it makes a big difference. I have about 3 or 4 sweaters that will have lots of positive ease because I made them for the fullest part of me instead of where I should have made them.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, see, but that's how you learn. That's how I learn. Make mistakes.
And I love this color. Oh my
I
goodness.
love the texture of it.
Exactly.
And the color's beautiful.
And I don't know. I still have this much left, and I don't know. I have a whole other ball. So
Maybe it was meant for my size and not your size. You're just a tiny little thing.
we won't. I'm not so sure about that. But anyway, there might be enough for me to make a shawl or something.
Yeah. We can make a pair of pants.
Okay, there's not that much, Erin. Just telling you. All right, so that's my first work in progress. Now, my next work in progress is very close to being done, but it has to be blocked. And this is called The Lone Skein, and that's also by Joji Locatelli. And this is lovely. I used a Malabrigo sock. It's called Alice is the colorway. Now, I'll show you what I've got here. Whoa!
And it's purple.
Well, no, it's actually very blue.
It's blue. Colleen, that is not blue.
Okay.
This is so purple.
Okay.
This is blue.
Yeah, it's blue.
It can't be blue. Is it called blue?
I'm assuming it's Alice from Alice in Wonderland, but I don't know for sure.
Okay.
Now, here's what has to happen. So this has got a garter tab. It's got all kinds of textures. So if you're going to make it, by the way, it's for a one skein shawl, which I like because they're easier to wear. And this has got lots of good texture. So what you want to make sure you do is use a slightly speckled or a plain tonal yarn. And this has got to be blocked out. Now, I have this much yarn left, which isn't too much. And what Joji Locatelli does in the picture, I'm not sure you can see it, is she puts a little tassel on each one.
One of these?
Yes.
Are you going to do that?
I haven't decided yet.
Kind of gives it a little coolness. I like it.
Yeah,
with the
it does a
tassels
little
on. Yeah.
cool. So she explains, you cut it a certain length, and then you fold it in 4 times, slip it over, cut the end, and you're good to go.
I like the size of this. It's nice. It's a nice size. It's
I
got
do
lots
like it.
going on in there that you can see.
You know what I'm liking is when I'm doing patterns and I'm learning things about, sometimes they want a German short row, sometimes they want you to wrap and turn. So it's really nice, and YouTube is so great that you can go onto YouTube and take a look and figure out what you need to do.
Even your YouTube tutorials are good too.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So-
Now, have you got the yarn with that? There you go.
There we go. I gotta keep the yarn, keep it all together, get myself in
That
trouble.
purple yarn.
Okay. I still think that, you know why I'm
You know
thinking?
what?
Because I bought navy to go with them. I was gonna make a 2 skein shawl.
Oh, well, it could be. I think there's blue and purples in it.
Okay, we'll both
go
be
with
right.
that. We'll both be right.
It's nice when we can both be right.
We can agree on that.
We can. All right. Now, My next work in progress is another one skein shawl.
I like the one skein shawls because they don't seem so
Bulky.
large. You must like a one skein shawl too, because
I
then
do.
you can see an ending. Because I'm
Yes,
sure if you
that's
do
true.
a 2 or 3 skein shawl, it's like, when is this going to end?
Exactly. So this is the Easy Go Zip by Michelle Higgins, who's Finicky Creations. And I've made one of these before. This is a free pattern, by the way. Now, here's where I've got left, and I've got this much yarn left. So what I'm probably going to do is add some plain garter rows just to put at the end. I guess it was depending on how much you had. Now, this is one of my favorite colors of all time. This is Malabrigo sock. It's called Reflecting Pool.
I really like the color also.
I do.
I love this kind of thing going on here. This like
Yes.
fishnet look.
Yes, I really, really like it. Now, here's the thing. What I'm thinking. Not sure I can do it. This lounging top, the Forest City Knit Girls, one of them made a lounging top with 3 different skeins of yarn. And I'm thinking that this could be one of the skeins of yarn. I'd have to buy another one, of course, but then use 2 other colors and just make it kind of a
Right.
fade it from one to the other.
Yeah, that would be nice. I
That would be
love
some
this.
planning, but I really, really like that one.
Yeah, I like
and the
that.
yarn is beautiful. My goodness.
Now, is that it there that you showed?
Yes.
Oh, that's nice. I love the color. Is that the same
So
color?
what I'm going to do when I'm done this one, I will show you that this is a tonal yarn. It works really nicely, and I'll show you one that's very, very variegated, and you can see it still
difference.
looks nice, but it looks very different.
Right.
So I'm really happy with
It
that.
is amazing with yarn and knitting and how you use a different color. It can just change the whole look of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, because my feet aren't so big and May's feet aren't so big, I am able to make myself a pair of No Fear Shorty socks by Denise DeSantis. So it's, once again, that's South Beach Yarn Company. It's the yarn with the alpaca in it, which is brilliant. Now, there's that. And what I've done, I don't know if you see, I hope you can see it, is I've put in some ribbing kind of where my arch is. Might be a little bit too far up, but you know, I'm learning. And so the reason for that is so that we don't have to hold up the socks side by side to see whose sock
You
is
can
who.
see the difference.
Yeah. So May's are plain all the way through, and I just added that. And I've had this on a couple of times, and it doesn't bother my arch. So, you know, you wonder if ribbing on would bother it, but not at all.
No, I have a pair of sports socks that actually has a little bit wider ribbing here.
Right, exactly.
And they don't bother me at all. And actually stay on my feet, so I like it.
So that's part of that, because I do have smaller feet.
Right.
Yes.
Well, that's great. That should
Yeah.
they should stay on your foot.
And I've got lots left to make the
I
second
love
sock,
those.
which is
yeah.
good.
Nice.
So both of us will have warm feet. That's fantastic. Now my last work in progress, I've got 2 of these done, is the Beaded Waves Cuff by Laura Nelkin. And I bought these kits at the Purple Sock in cold water, which was great. I did a little changing up when it came to beads. So there's a blue one, and there's one that's black and purple.
These are nice.
I really, really like
I
them.
like them.
So I think what I'm going to do,
Gives you a little bling.
exactly, I think what I'm going to do, I might keep these 2 because I really like them.
Yeah.
And I'll make 2, one for each mom for Christmas.
That's nice. Yeah, I think they'll like those.
I think so. And as you
And it's
say,
something different, you know.
exactly. So I just have to put on I'm going to have to block them just to get them the right size. And then I'm going to have to put on the clasps at the end. So I love those. So those are my works in progress. And May, how about you, works in progress?
Like I had said before in my little vegetable cart, I'm making those little baskets, which
Oh, okay.
are kind of, I have to make like 15 of them. So it's a little tedious, a little
Exactly.
boring, you know, it'd be like knitting 6 sweaters the same,
Exactly.
so, you
Right.
know. But that's okay. That's okay. We'll get it done.
It's nice when you get the cart with the fabric on it. It looks really, really good.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. So next we're going to talk about our adventure.
As I mentioned, our adventure took us to Barrie, Ontario, which was a lovely place. And Barrie itself is north of Toronto a bit, about probably an hour, I think. There's Highway 400, because you see Highway 400 all over the
All
place.
over the place, that's right.
And it has a population of about 153,000.
okay.
It's not huge, but it's not tiny either. And they talk about Barrie being a gateway into all the cottage country and everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you go north in Ontario, you go up that way,
Right.
cottage country. Now, it is kind of neat because it's right on the Kempenfelt Bay,
Okay.
which is west of Lake Simcoe. Like it's just a little off Lake
Okay.
Simcoe, which is
Yep.
quite fairly substantial lake.
Right, exactly.
And it's beautiful there. They have the boardwalk. We walked down that boardwalk, which is
really, really
lovely.
nice.
We walked forever down that
I know. There's a playground for the kids. There's all kinds of places where you can rent a kayak.
The man, we ran into a man there. We didn't run into him, but we were down by the water, and what he was doing, he was in his kayak and he was going around the shoreline and just picking up plastic bottles and things like that,
Exactly.
which was kind of nice.
Exactly.
And then we walked across. You remember that? We walked across. There was a beautiful little where the washrooms and everything was,
Right,
like a
exactly.
little garden with little waterfalls.
Oh, it was
and then
so
we
pretty.
walked up the street. We asked some lady where she got her coffee from, and we walked up to that little restaurant. We got our
Exactly.
coffee there, which was lovely. We walked back down, just sat there and enjoyed our coffee,
It
looking
was
at
great.
the
Water. It was
outside of the
beautiful.
bay there. And then we decided to take a long walk around. They have a little slightly beach area, and then they
Yep.
have a play area. Do you remember that?
Yes, absolutely.
And then I got enthralled with
She did. I thought I'd lost her.
they were taking down a tree, and it was really interesting because there were chainsaws like crazy, and I thought, what are they going to do with it? And then they had these claws that put into a machine that would break it down, but it wasn't
Like a
really breaking
wood
down.
chipper, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't really breaking down, but I thought, if you ever got your hand or anything caught in there, I got kind of freaked out about that.
But the trunk was so big.
I know.
And you said, we both looked at it and went, that's
I don't
not
think
going to work.
I don't think that's going to fit, or it's going to break that machine.
Right.
Eventually, after standing there for about 20 minutes, I think it did break the machine. It got caught in there, and there was a whole thing of trying to get it out. Anyway,
Exactly.
Colleen was very patient with me because I was just couldn't stop watching this. But the boardwalk was lovely. They even have lounges that you can lay just with little umbrellas that you could just lay
Exactly.
out in. So
Yeah.
we chose to do that for a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
And then somebody came along and said, "Can I take your pictures?" And they grabbed our camera and they took our pictures. That was kind of neat.
It was great.
So that was a beautiful day, and we go early enough to these things that the weather is just perfect, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's just perfect.
So much fun.
So Barrie itself, love it. So then we couldn't go into our KOA till about 3 o'clock.
Right.
So we ventured to a KOA there, and I'd never been to the Barrie KOA. I'd heard really good things about it, but hadn't heard a thing about it. Pulled in, of course, they're always very clean.
Yes, exactly.
And we got our little cabin. As you can see here, it's kind of rustic. There's not much in it. It had a air conditioner, which with our other cabin did not have.
Right.
It had a fridge.
Right.
The fridge there is our fridge that's on the bed there.
Right.
So it's kind of rustic. I mean, there's not much in it. But the cool thing about there, what was your coolest thing about there?
It had to do with pizza.
So when we got the cabin, they said, "Oh, if you want food or pizza, we can deliver it right to your cabin." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds like we never have pizza. We've never
we
ordered
don't.
pizza. It's not that we don't like it. It's just that it doesn't really sit well with us."
Not all the time.
Yeah. So we thought that would be a kind of a treat, and we'll deliver firewood. So we had just arrived there. Next thing you know, got everything unloaded. We had ordered the pizza. The pizza arrives at our nice picnic table there.
Exactly.
The wood arrived, so we had a great campfire.
We did. It was lovely.
Lovely campfire. We stayed there for a few nights, so we were able to
Really
explore
enjoyed it.
quite a bit. Now the campground itself is quite large. There was tents, there was lots of trailers, there was cabins.
Yeah.
They had an outdoor pool, no indoor pool, just the
Outdoor,
outdoor pool,
right.
which was lovely. Playground for kids. They have an indoor space, I think, for kids to do crafts and that type of
Right.
thing.
Exactly.
We didn't explore that
I think
because
the kids were doing tie-dye shirts when we were there.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, they had lots of things for the kids. And so Colleen and I decided that we would take a walk. They had a park that was kind of back. There was a little road that you took. So we took that there.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa.
Oh,
And
my
there was
goodness.
these, RVs. I guess they're motorhomes, Winnebagos.
Huge.
Huge. Every one of them had to be about $250,000.
Exactly.
And it was just full of them. And they were
It
gorgeous.
was.
And
Exactly.
actually sitting at our cabin, I could see them all coming in.
Right.
And that's probably what prompted me to want to go back there and see what was going on.
Oh, okay. Yes.
But it was a beautiful. They looked like they were seasonal, and I think that's part of the Barrie thing because of where it's located.
Right.
Like if you have a boat or if you're close to Toronto, I think that was the draw there. But
absolutely.
Clean campground, great little shop up there, and it's a controlled entry, so not everybody can come in. It's kind of off the beaten track a little bit.
Right.
So that was a lot of fun. Then we decided there's not too many miniature or doll houses around the area in Ontario, that is. I don't know about other provinces, but there's very few actually.
Stores, that have those miniatures.
There's St. Thomas, the little doll house.
Right.
Grandpa's doll house in St. Thomas, which is lovely. And there's some Toronto. And then there was this dollhouse shop. Now, apparently these people used to be in Park Hill, Ontario, which is a small town close to us. But then they moved to Barrie and they opened this shop in the mall.
Right.
Do you remember the name of that mall?
Bayview Mall.
Bayview Mall in Barrie. So if you're there and you want to see the miniature store, I'll just give you an idea. I'll put a little video up of what was in their store. It's quite a large area. And what they do is they go to different auctions or estate sales and they will purchase some of this dollhouse furniture that you really can't buy anymore.
That's right.
Absolutely. And so that was some of the stuff that they have in there.
Yeah, he was really helpful.
Yeah, he was pretty helpful. And so I was able to purchase some beads and that in there and some other little trinkets. And so I'll put the video up. It gives you an idea what kind of items they sell there.
Right.
And you can't really say their inventory is always the same because it's always changing. You have, and sometimes he just had a bunch of stuff on the tables and stuff, like estate sales that just came in and people hadn't gone through.
Right.
Stuff that people had collected. So we had an opportunity to go through some of that stuff.
Exactly. And every once in a while he'd bring out a box and say, you might find something in this.
Right.
And so then you could kind of dig through it.
Yeah. So it was great. Colleen will talk a little bit about the yarn store that we visited, but it was really nice for me to be able to go to this shop too and be part of the adventure.
Exactly.
So
that's great.
And the cabin itself was brilliant. So and the shop that we visited, we went there specifically for was the
True North Yarn Company.
Yes, you can talk a little bit about that.
I will do that. So we've been there before, but since COVID, we just want to find out how everybody's doing, what's going on. So we met April and Melina, and they were really, really helpful. Now, the owner is Chloe, and she basically gave us permission to take pictures, which she had done before, which was great. So the yarn store is well set up, kind of by weights of yarn. There's lots of different brands of yarn. There's lots of drops yarn, which is a nice, inexpensive, but good quality yarn. And they actually almost have 2 full rooms that you can look at, and really, really liked it. Now, they were talking to a customer while we were there and trying to explain to the customer what Ravelry was all about. And what April and Melina were saying is, if you've got a podcast, this would be a great idea, would be to go through and do kind of a tutorial of how to use Ravelry.
Sign up? I think the person that was there was like, I don't want to sign up and this and that. Like, it seems complicated. And for me too, right. I don't want to do that. But I think if you did a step-by-step
absolutely
how to sign up, because I think that's intimidating to some people.
You know what? We could use your name and pretend we're signing you up.
Why don't we do that? And
exactly.
do a tutorial on how to navigate it, how to sign up.
I think that's a great idea. Exactly. Because sometimes people just want to use free patterns. They don't want to use PayPal or do something like that. So there's lots of free patterns on Ravelry. And it gives you a way, for me, just talk a little bit about Ravelry, is that what I like is sometimes you've bought a skein of yarn, you think, what am I going to do with this?
Right.
And you can put in how much yarn you have, the kind of yarn that it is, the thing that you're looking to see if you can make. So I think that would be a great idea. I think we need to work on that tutorial.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll do that.
Okay, exactly. So we had a great time at the yarn store. And they were really, really helpful. I asked them a few questions about some of the souvenirs that I purchased, and they were, gave us a great idea about that as well.
I love that yarn store. It's so bright and so organized.
Exactly.
And they're so friendly. Like, it's got everything going for it.
I
like,
agree with
most yarn stores, what I just said, fill that bill. Like,
exactly.
They're bright, friendly, and
yes, absolutely.
But this just seems really, it's well located, I think.
Exactly. It was easy to get to, and it helped that we'd been there before.
That's true, yeah.
Because it's in kind of I was going to say a strip mall, but not really. Like, it's a series of little stores. But thank you to our lovely car that tells us which way to go, and it helps out too.
As long as it doesn't get us lost.
I know.
It hasn't really done so far, has it? Touch wood.
No.
Touch wood.
Every once in a while we'll go, this isn't the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's true. We've changed it up a little bit.
Exactly.
And now, last time we were there in Barrie, I don't know where we were going, maybe passing through. We stayed in Barrie, but it was in a hotel.
Right.
This was the first time that we got to stay in
Exactly.
that KOA.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a great store, great adventure.
Exactly.
And now, do they do online and sell
Yes,
online?
they do. They sell online. And so if you don't get to go there, you could always order things that way.
But it's worth a trip if you're up in the Barrie area or passing through. And I'm sure cottage people all make a stop in Barrie and fill up their coolers or something.
Exactly.
So
sounds good. Alrighty, next we're going to talk about our souvenirs. My first souvenir is a row counter, and it says row counter clicky. Now, I was looking at row counters. You think, okay, I've got 3 of them. Do I need another one? Well, trust me, there's lots of works in progress on the go. And what happens sometimes is I have a row counter sitting there, and I don't know what the number's for. I realize that's ridiculous, but sometimes you put it down, you don't remember.
well, that would make sense. You wouldn't know which one you were knitting.
No. So what I do when that happens, I'm just going to give you that, is I write the number that's on the row counter before I reset it. And then I can say, okay, what project did that happen? And it just happened to me. And guess what? I can't find that piece of information. I was able to count rows in that case. But so I knew I needed another one. Now this has a lock on it, and I'm really quite happy with it. Now there was this one, and there was one that was about $10 more, and not that I am perhaps chintzy. But I asked one of the girls at the store, I said, like, I'm trying to figure out between this and this, if it's that much better. They said, no, this has got all the thing. It's got a push button and unlock mechanism, and it can be worn around your neck and make it nice and easy. Yeah, I thought it was cute too.
I really like that.
Don't think I'm going to lose that pink one.
No, that'll be cute.
So anyway, so now that we're talked about it,
You can open it up.
and start using it.
Yeah,
that's right.
nice.
So I try to be mindful that it is a souvenir, and I don't want to get started before we actually talk on our
You don't
podcast about
open
it.
the packages up
I
until
don't.
we're finished.
And I don't start with
I don't know
yarn.
what that all started about, but
I don't know. I think I want you to see what you would get if you were purchasing something at the store.
oh, okay. Well,
I
that
think
makes
that's
sense.
what it is.
That makes total
Now,
sense.
we were in Owen Sound, and I fell in love with this baby sweater. There's no babies in our lives. There's no grandkids. We have some great nieces and nephews, but that's about it. Now, this is called the Anders, and that's by Soren Claire Kerr. And I love this sweater.
Is it a paid-for pattern?
It is a paid-for pattern. And you can put the buttons to the front, buttons to the back. And I thought, had been to Owen Sound, we were heading to Barrie, and I thought, I'm going to get yarn for this. Now, I didn't get yarn with wool in it. I made sure I got some acrylic.
So you actually bought this yarn in Barrie?
Yes,
But
bought
you
the yarn
bought
in
the
Barrie
pattern and...
on Ravelry.
Oh, okay.
But I
we
saw the
it
sample
in Owen Sound.
Adventures. That's all I'm saying. So what I decided was the 2 colors that I'm going to use is this lovely teal and then this white or creamy white.
Oh, that'll be nice.
I think it will be nice. I'm really looking forward to
And
it.
the cool thing is, it's got Christmas trees on it. Is that Christmas trees that's on there?
Yep, it looks like little Christmas
And
trees.
that'll be great with it.
Exactly. So I'm excited about doing it. I wanted to knit this. Now, that isn't the first time we were at that store in Owen Sound. We were there before COVID, and I said, May, take a picture of that sweater. I want to make it.
Right.
So finally, I thought, I'm buying yarn to do that. So it's anti-pilling acrylic.
There you go. Now, can I just say something?
Yes.
My mom's been looking for Aran yarn, and Ellen was kind enough to ship her some from Scotland.
Oh my
This
gosh.
feels like Aran, no? A little thinner?
It's a little bit thinner, but it probably would have done a great job.
I know.
I know.
You didn't want to suggest that.
I have suggested things. I have suggested things, and yet I understand that when you have a pattern, and then there's a certain kind of yarn. So
Because this would be really nice.
exactly, I think it's nice and soft, and I
Yeah,
think it's gonna be.
it's gonna
So
be
I've
great.
got enough to make the largest size
Right.
that this pattern has. So
Very
I really
nice.
wish there was a largest size for me because I really like that
Can't
sweater.
you just make it bigger? Like
You
put more
know-
stitches in there?
Yeah, it's called grading.
Oh.
Okay, it's not like an A+ or anything, but you grade it for certain sizes. It's not just make it this much bigger.
Oh, I see.
So I'm not smart enough to do that at this
Oh.
point in time. But anyway, so I love that pattern. I'm so excited to get started on that. Now, the other thing that I found, and it's a little bit, how would you describe that yarn?
Rustic?
Rustic, a little toothy, but I think it's going to make great socks. So this is
Yeah,
Drops
I wouldn't want this
Fable
around my face.
Long print. No, not around that. But I think as far as socks and keeping your feet warm, that would be great.
There you go.
So I had never worked with Drops Fable, and so it's called Drops Fable Long Print. So I think it's a bigger, each stripe is a little bit bigger. So
Yeah, it does feel a little harsh for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not, let's just say it's not the alpaca one that I just made. Yeah. These are not ones she would be
No.
saying, please finish. No. She's like, okay, who are you giving them to? Who are you giving those socks to?
That's exactly what I'd be saying. Who are those for? Because they're not for me,
They're
right?
not for me, right? Don't make them my size. Anyway, but I wanted to, I have made some socks with that kind of yarn, and they're okay on my feet. So
Good. Well, maybe you should make some for yourself.
I could.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so those are my souvenirs. And May?
Well, at the dollhouse, I did buy a few things, but I can't really remember what it was. I know there was some furniture. 'Cause we
Furniture
did
that
a
you bought.
couple of trips there, actually,
Exactly,
because
we
we were
did
there
too.
for a few days.
Yeah.
We did a couple of trips, but I did buy, I want to make some little lamps. I made some lamps before, and so I wanted some beads that would make some lamps. And as you remember, we had visited that lovely bead store,
which was
but
great.
they didn't really have the beads that I was looking for. And these
Right.
came from an estate sale
Oh, wow. Okay.
that we looked through, and they were kind of cool, and I thought those would make perfect little lamps.
Exactly.
So that was going to be my next project, and of course I bought a little lamp just for size-wise so I could see. I don't know if that goes on there, but I don't think it does.
Whoop, now it's on the floor.
And that's what I bought. But, you know, speaking of lamps, you know those little creamers you get for coffee when you go to a restaurant?
Yes, I do.
I just thought that would be the perfect size of a lampshade for a little miniature.
Yeah.
So I'm going to work on how to make a miniature thing. for
Right.
that,
So we
too.
actually had a plan, which we've not done yet, but I'm going to crochet something that will go on that creamer thing.
Right.
Because what you can do with crochet cotton when you do that is you can dip it in a mixture of glue and water. I don't know if you know this. You can put it in a mixture of glue and water and then let it dry, and it actually becomes hard. So it would be like a stiff lampshade.
Right. Wow. Well, that would be interesting to try.
Exactly.
When we have our spare time.
Exactly. We can't find that spare time. I think we've lost the spare time, but we have all kinds of lovely crafting things that we love to do. And I got to get back to sewing because I've got a couple of project bags I want to work on. So.
And once I'm finished my little baskets for my fruits and vegetables, I can get into something else. I'm just dying to start some new project, so I'll be interested to see what that's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had a great time. We had a nice little time shopping. True North Yarn Company, it's a great store. Now,
They do ship.
okay.
I went onto the website in
Yeah.
between videos here, and they ship, and it's anywhere in Canada over if you spend over $100. So that's pretty
There you
reasonable
go.
because it's easy to spend
Exactly.
over $100 in these yarn stores, as I know.
Exactly.
Hey, Colleen.
It makes me have a plan. I'm thinking I could order that yarn to make.
Yeah, I thought so, but that's pretty reasonable.
It is
Anywhere
really
in Canada, but they do go on their website, check it out, and
Exactly.
yeah, they're great.
Alrighty, so thanks so much for watching. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up, comment down below, talk about whether you think that bag needs a tab or just leave well enough alone. If there's something you'd like to see that we haven't done or a place that you think we should visit on an adventure, let us know that as
Now,
well.
somebody has mentioned about us visiting places, and we are going to make sure that we try and get there.
Exactly.
And so good suggestions, so we appreciate that.
Yeah, so thank you so much. And until next time,